So let's move on to Theater 2. We have A Bridge Too Far, 1977, starring Sean Connery, Michael Caine, Anthony Hopkins, James Caan, Robert Redford, Laurence Olivier, and Gene Hackman, and directed by John Hammond himself, Richard Attenborough. And
David
the names like that, I expected a lot more, but why don't you take us away here, Mike?
Well, before Mike takes us away on the plot, let's watch that trailer, get a little refresher, and then Mike, you take it away from there.
We've paid for that bridge and we're going to collect.
We're going to fly 35,000 men 300 miles and drop them behind enemy lines.
Really did feel like that 35,000 men.
Mounted. Quite frankly, this kind of thing's never been attempted before. We shall seize the bridges, it's all a question of bridges, with thunderclap surprise. And hold them until they can be secured. And we go next Sunday.
7 days.
The sooner we go, the better. We've got them on the run.
Joseph E. Levine presents A Bridge Too Far. Based on Cornelius Ryan's international bestseller. The story of the most dramatic and devastating battle of World War II.
The plan is called Operation Market Garden. Market is the airborne element, and Garden the ground forces. I like to think of this as one of those American Western films.
So one of those American Western films.
We, my friends, are the cavalry on the way to the rescue.
A Bridge Too Far. Starring Dirk Bogarde, James Caan, Michael Caine, Sean Connery, Edward Fox, Elliot Gould, Gene Hackman, Anthony Hopkins, Hardy Kruger, Laurence Olivier, Ryan O'Neal, Robert
Just
Redford,
hit
Maximilian
after
Schell,
hit
Lee
after
Pullman.
hit.
Take cover!
Don't you think that since we know that Arnhem is so crucial to their safety, they might know that too?
The river's wide and that the current is strong. Hail Mary, full of grace. If there's any more cheery information
Hail Mary,
comes my way, I'll just be
Hail Mary,
glad to
full
pass
of
it
grace.
along.
God, he said that so many times. So many times.
Yeah. Must have been like 100 times.
You're 36 hours behind schedule.
There's a battle, and we are in the process of winning it. Winning and losing is not a concern. Living or dying is.
Living or dying.
Now, if you don't look at him right now, he's going to die.
Oh wow. They had that weird beeping in the trailer too. Did you guys
I noticed that, right?
Thank you very much, sir.
We need reinforcements and
I thought there was a microwave in the other room, like several times through this film.
No, it's in the film. It's like they forgot to cut out the edit marks for their audio.
Why didn't we just try to bash through?
Yeah.
Well, as you know, I've always thought that we tried to go a bridge too far.
Oh, he said
That's
the
the
line!
name of the movie.
Right. Well, take us away, Mike. What was this movie about?
Well, I mean, they hit on it in the preview there. Obviously, it's Operation Market Garden, right? The invasion of Europe on the other front, right? This is in Holland, and over Arnhem and the Nijmegen Bridge there, where the UK and the US sort of tried to come together because obviously late in the war.
D-Day.
Yeah, it was post D-Day. And it's sort of like the Italy invasion. It's one of those spots where most of the world forgets about it because it wasn't Normandy, right? So nobody really pays attention. But to this day, Holland still, honors Canada and the United States every single year, for what we have done to help secure their country. So it was the story of us trying to, beat back the Germans in Holland, in the Netherlands, and ultimately succeeding, but not in this particular battle. which is an interesting take because especially back in the day, this film, it has an incredible soundtrack, absolutely incredible, so patriotic.
I found myself humming that.
And those music scenes annoying, actually.
Right, and it really leans into the 70s campiness of a war film, right? But at the same time, you're filming this film about a battle that was ultimately lost, where if you weren't killed, you were taken prisoner. Which was pretty rare at the time. It's still definitely campy, and as we touched on earlier, the acting is atrocious. It's absolutely terrible. There are a few exceptions there.
Frigging Olivier is in this movie, and the acting is terrible. I mean, he's okay.
Right.
He did the best though. His one scene was like him and
James Caan.
James Caan, yeah.
That was my favorite scene of the film.
Connery's pretty goddamn good too, I gotta say. I mean, Connery is good, but he's always Connery, right? He's one of those typecast actors that should be typecast because really he can only play one character. Let's be honest. He plays Sean Connery. But in this case, he was Sean Connery wearing a British officer's uniform, and I bought it. I was all right about it. But yeah, no, it was a half decent story about the chaos of just planning for war alone. I mean, the first 2/3 of the movie were just planning for Operation Market Garden. Where are we going to get boats? How are we going to bring up the armored columns? Where are we going to get infantry support, etc., etc. And that's the name of the game when you go to war, right? It's a whole lot of waiting around and doing nothing, and then 5 minutes of extreme PTSD-inducing combat, right? So I think they did that pretty well in this movie, where it just showed even pure chaos of planning, right? And it all goes to shit in the end anyway, so what's the point? But I think
hubris as well. Like, it was clearly like a nothing plan for no reason. And Gene Hackman's character kept calling him on that. He's just like, what idiot back at like what base came up with this stupid idea and why? It's pointless and why? Like,
exactly.
Hackman had the worst
like, well, that's what
I've ever heard.
Monty wants to do. They keep talking about Monty. That's what Monty wants to do. Yeah, no, Gene Hackman's supposed to be Polish.
Terrible.
It wasn't
like,
good.
wow. No,
what do you say, Murph?
Redford was pretty good in this.
Though. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I thought Gene Hackman was great. He was playing a Polish guy, right? So you got to give him.
I mean, was that Polish? It sounded more like it was like Louisianan.
Oh God, no! I'm pretty sure he was Polish or Eastern Europe.
I mean, he was supposed to be Polish.
Yeah. Well, he was supposed to be. Because the Polish served with the British a lot, right? So.
Yeah. Like he was leading into like the airborne reserves where they're like, we just got to show up in time, and they show up like 2.5 days late because the fog didn't roll in.
Yeah.
But like Anthony Hopkins is in this. He doesn't really have anything to do.
I would disagree.
Just drives around sitting on a cart.
He was a central character right up until the end when he lost his legs and became Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah,
true. They ran him through the ringer. That's for sure.
They did. They totally did. It was, oh man, I thought Hawkins did great in it. I thought his whole like holding down the bridge and Arnhem was
Arnhem,
it? I think it was. Arnhem. It was like that whole. It was like, oh man, these guys got really in the thick of it. They might get to hold some shit. The whole scene where the guy's like walking up the bridge with the umbrella, and then he's like,
yes,
getting people to like sneak up, and they're all like. Like make their positions, and then the fucking not the turn, but the pillbox just starts taking them out, and it goes into chaos real quick.
It pays off later. They're like, "Why do you carry that umbrella all the time?" He's just like, "Oh, it's
bad memory.
I'm British."
Yeah,
so people know I'm British. Yeah,
I can never remember the password, so I carry an umbrella so they know I'm an Englishman.
Yeah, so I know I'm an Englishman.
That's really funny.
But yeah, no, Sean Connery, I did find his role was pretty good. He he held it together. But he was Sean Connery. He's in the Medicine Man, so it's not really like a typical role for him.
Right.
Like, Medicine Man was fantastic.
He's usually just got one speed though, right? I mean, you can look at oh gosh, what's that movie where he wears the Speedo and has crossed ammo?
Oh, Zathura? I think it's Zathura.
Is it Zathura? No. I think that's a kids movie, isn't it? With like Tim Allen.
Oh,
But
I
you're on
know
the
the
right
one you're
track.
talking about
Something
now.
weird like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Another different Sean Connery movie for a different time.
Very different Sean Connery movie.
But you know, they do have like the people going down. They have 2 teams, or is it 3 squads? They have the people running down the road and trying to get to each bridge in like succession.
Well, they got 30 division, or was it 30?
They are planning this nightmare of a plan.
Yeah, they had the Brits with their armor and their boats. They had the American paratroopers, and well, I think that's
It
it
was
for
a
the
crazy
friendly
scene.
story. They just ended up coming together at the end, right?
Well, they had, what was it? It was Michael Caine's character in like the tank division that were just like rolling through and having a good old parade while
Yeah.
everyone else is getting lambasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did come into play at the end as well. We've got our orders.
Yeah, exactly.
We're waiting for the
Like, "Oh,
infantry.
I like my cushy job, thanks."
Yeah, right. We get boxed lunches here.
Yeah.
Guys are just gonna stop and have tea right now. They're over orders. Well, we're going to wait for the cavalry. Meanwhile, the cavalry's like pinned down in a house and they can't go anywhere.
Well, but like they said right at the beginning, we're the cavalry. It would be bad form to arrive early. Just in the nick of
There
time
was-
would be nicely.
There's some good things in this movie, but I just found myself bored for a lot of it and it was also so very dark. It was very uninteresting and almost
It was
a
very
hassle to
pale.
look at.
But like, I don't know, it was like, it was bewildering to watch. The amount of people that were in this film, the amount of extras, the amount of practical effects that went into this film.
The practical,
well, crazy in that regard.
incredible, absolutely incredible. The
I'll
anytime
give it
the
that.
tank got hit, and when they fired the Piat, and you could actually see the projectile like firing out to the road in front of the tank. Every practical effect was fantastic. You know, tanks driving through buildings and the walls collapsing on top of them.
The kid biking, the kid having a little bike ride, and then he just sees like all the like tanks hiding in the woods, and then the fucking plane flies over his head, gets a few shots, goes back, flies back, and it's all like, you know, he's like, hey! It's like, dude.
Hiding tanks over by the trees.
Yeah,
right? And like the other thing too, okay, so the main thing too is like, there's this one character on the British squad. They're like, we like it when you be smart. You tell us what to do because we need that. And then 15 minutes later, he's like, yo, we probably shouldn't go that way. It's like, what? Because of a couple tanks in the woods? That's probably just bad intel. It's like, what? No, it's like,
they're all young boys or old men. Don't worry about it.
You know, and
Xanadu, that's the movie.
Xanadu, yeah, Xanadu, that's it. I was thinking Xanadu for some reason.
Thanks, Jaemeel.
Anyway, thank you, Jaemeel. Yeah, and then on the flip side, so Davan, you mentioned that when you would watch this film, you didn't have the German subtitles. I did.
No, it's not. It's not. It's Zardoz. It's Zardoz, man. That's what it is.
Is it Zardoz? I thought it was something Z.
It is, yeah, Zardoz.
Okay.
We'll look it up right now, but I just swear to you.
Could be. But yeah, on the flip side with the Germans, you know, there's actually some like pretty important German dialogue. And one of the most important scenes is when a German comes across a downed plane with some English officers, and he's got the whole market garden plan in a playbook, right? And then he takes it back to the German, and he's just like, and the German leader's like, nah, they left this behind for us. It's clearly fake. We don't need this, you know, and completely ignores the play. And they
did get that though from what was happening, but yeah, I didn't get the dialogue. Oh yeah, I was trying to pay attention to the German stuff because I didn't have the dialogue. I'm like, all right, body language.
Yeah. And then the other scene too, which plays into the bridge on the Kwai, is they're just like, he's like, sir, can I blow up the bridge? And he's like, no, you can't blow up the bridge at no cost. But he's like, okay, I won't blow up the bridge. did you strap the bridge with bombs? We need to blow it up. If they get through the water, we gotta blow that shit up, you know?
Mm.
And they're like, yes, sir, it's perfectly strapped. And you just see this giant, massive bomb in the structure of the dome. And you're just like, oh, is it gonna blow up? I just watched a movie where a bridge blew up. Is this one gonna blow up? And he goes, zing, 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 zing. And it just doesn't go off. It was good. I like that.
I found to like this movie long. Like as much as my favorite scene is the James Caan Laurence Olivier scene, it didn't need to be in this movie. Like a lot of these things were just disconnected moments, and it didn't seem like a cohesive whole to me.
But I mean, that's combat too, right?
True, but is that a good storytelling
I suppose
method in a movie?
It really depends. It's. So I would say that this is the platoon to Bridge on the River Kwai's Apocalypse Now. You know what I mean? Where this is a little more in tune with what was actually happening during the war, whereas the other one used the war to tell a story. So it depends on what you're looking for, right? It's sort of like watching The Deer Hunter, right? Where it's like, I would not really consider that a war movie, technically. It's a drama that happens to take place partially during a war, right?
Yeah, it kind of felt like to me like the real life Tropic Thunder, you know? They had all these
bunch of big actors that do nothing.
A little bit, yeah. And they're just like acting through this grandiose epic war movie and all these epic war sets that is just like, it's like kind of wild to see. Apparently, there was one of the officers told Anthony Hopkins that he shouldn't be running from one building to another. If he was a real English officer, he would walk slowly in disdain for the enemy's fire, just like. And Anthony Hopkins was like, "I'm gonna try to do that." He's like, "I tried with every ounce in me, but as soon as the effects were going off, fear just took over and I ran."
That's funny. So then they do get to this scene, which is a pretty great scene, actually. That scene is tense because like everything keeps going wrong in this movie. Like they're just late. Like the trucks are late, so they have to go like cross the river in the daytime instead of the night. I'd be like, no, man, let's just wait till the next night. But no,
Right,
off
exactly.
they go in the noon. Like they were supposed to go at 8 in the morning. Then they're like, no, we're going at 9. Oh, nah, we're going at 10:30. It's like, you know what? We're doing it at noon. It's just like, oh my god.
We're just gonna fire a few smoke rounds out of these tanks and fucking cross our fingers here.
Yeah, let's go with
terrible.
the most
People are
even
getting picked
light
off
over the
left and
sky
right.
as opposed to the sun with our backs to it, you know? Like,
but then later in the movie, it was shown it really wouldn't have done them much good anyway. They did that night crossing, and boom, flares. As soon as that first flare went up, I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
no!
that's true.
Oh, they're fucking dead!" Like,
yeah. I was like, oh no.
that's
Oh,
rough,
no.
buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a pretty crazy scene. And then here's the thing. This movie wasn't nearly interesting enough to keep me engaged with a name like A Bridge Too Far, because they lay it out in the beginning. They're like, there's 3 bridges and we got to get one and then the next one and then the next one. I'm like, oh gee, I wonder if it's going to be A Bridge Too Far. And there wasn't any twists or turns or anything really. It's just it plays out exactly as you'd imagine it would. And it lacked a storytelling element. It was just too much to me trying to just show an actual battle that happened.
That's fair.
But I think they could have even done that. I think like if you gave this idea to Steven Spielberg, for example, you'd get a way better movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like a Tom Clancy movie, before Tom Clancy was a thing.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
And then you just have these guys
and
just
all
watching it go to shit. They're like,
Yeah.
they're just like watching them lose. They're just like, well, I guess that's that then. It's like,
well, we certainly did try, old boy.
yeah. Just a bridge too far, old boy. Like, oh my god. So
I mean, I will give it to this movie for the cinematography, though, for sure, 100%. The special effects, the practical effects, when they were sending up all of those transport planes, the C-47s with the Horsa gliders being towed behind them, you know, that entire scene where they had dozens upon dozens of aircraft like towing gliders up into the air, and then hundreds and hundreds of paratroopers coming down, and it was filmed
that was crazy.
Through the parachute, watching the aircraft fly by, like just an absolutely mesmerizing scene.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Just so many airplanes and so many people.
Well, and I would like to know how they did this. There's no way at that time they still had that many flying C-47s. It was just a camera trick of some kind, but they did it so convincingly. It looks so good.
It certainly did.
I love too how they like showed it from so many angles. How like eventually they ended with basically a first-person perspective, and they just like jump you out with the plane and you like land. And all I can think about these guys is like their legs and their thighs gonna be wrecked from like doing this film. Because you can't control those shoots. It's just straight drop down.
Yeah,
right?
oh yeah, you just drop. Yeah, you tuck your feet.
Well, they
together,
lose a ton of these guys.
the best.
Like, it doesn't work out so good for some of these guys. It's crazy. Their chute's already open. You hear it.
Well, yeah, they're on a static line, right? So you don't get to pull your own chute. Your chute is attached to the line in the aircraft. So as soon as you jump out that jump door, your chute is being hauled out of your backpack with the static line that stays attached to the airplane.
I was impressed with the first-person perspective. I was like, man, that must have been tricky with like a full-on film camera.
Right.
Like, I would love to know what they used for that. I tried to find some details about this, like how many people were used as backgrounds, and there was no definitive number. There was not at any point a definitive number of how many people were used practically for this film. It's just varied, but like it was up in the hundreds. They said they had over 100 stuntmen for this film.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had a lot of people running around at any given time, right?
Right. It was simply coordinated incredibly well, like crazy. Which scene would you hold up?
For me, it would have to be. I think it would have to be the initial bridge, sort of like for the original Arnhem Bridge scene, especially with the umbrella guy like walking up. That I thought was tense and cool.
I thought he was going to start a dance number.
Yeah, I was.
Fred Astaire. Did they get Fred Astaire in this movie too?
Oops, that's the wrong one.
Oh yeah, that's from.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's next topic. I clicked the wrong thing. This is the one I was talking
You just
about.
ruined the entire show. I'm ashamed of.
That's it. I'm out. I'm clicking X.
Yeah.
No,
I don't blame you.
Stay with us.
Shall we have a go at the far end now, sir? Having a go is hardly textbook terminology, Harry.
Having a go. Terminology, Harry.
It had some good scenes, this movie.
Right? Like there was a handful of really solid scenes in this film, but just a bunch of stretch of just like, look at our military prowess. Look at me, so sly, just taking a quick tippy-toe peek.
Yeah, I like this
them
scene
in.
too. It was pretty slick.
It's like pretty good music too. It's like kind of intense, but not overbearing.
And most of it does come back to the original theme, which is nice. It's got that Star Wars-itis about it, where no matter what, whether it's the soft, sort of slow, sad theme or the patriotic let's go get 'em theme, you can still hear the same notes, the same chord progression.
Oh, yeah, this music's good.
I also loved how this scene was shot too, with just like the wide-angle lens and how they brought everybody into frame from each side.
There's absolutely zero unjustified paranoia in this movie. Every time they think there's somebody hiding to shoot them, there is. There's always somebody there to shoot you in this movie. That's a good scene.
I also like the
Good scene
follow-up
holds
scene
up for you, Mike. Oh, go ahead, Murphy.
It's also just the follow-up scene later on at night where they try to attack with the flamethrower, and he's like, and he hits him with the flamethrower. He's like, "Ah, you bumped my arm, you made me miss," and they end up lighting an ammo dump. It just blows the whole bridge down the line. I think that one was probably another good one, but yeah, that was it for me. Yeah, Mike, what was your favorite scene that would hold
I mean,
up?
I think certainly for scenes that hold up would be that the scene of launching with the C-47s and the gliders, and all the paratroops coming down. I think even with today's standards of filmmaking, the only thing that keeps that from being 100% from a modern film is just the quality of film that's used, right? Outside of that, the filmmaking itself, bang on, fantastic stuff. But as for a favorite scene, it's between that for me, because I'm an airplane nerd, and the surrender, the attempted surrender, when the little German Wehrmacht guy comes up with his white flag. He's like, "My general instructed us to surrender," and he goes,
You're like, "No,
"The hell." "We'd like to, but we can't accept your surrender.
Yeah.
Is there
So
anything
funny.
else?"
No, and he just walks away with his flag. Oh my god. I forgot about that scene. That's hilarious. Yeah.
It's too good.
Sorry.
What?
Can't accept your surrender today.
What?
Is there anything else?
Yeah. Yeah, just like Kwai, this movie, just like that one, has a lot of hilarious Britishisms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, the scene, it's just like I said, it feels unconnected from the movie, but it's the scene with Laurence Olivier and James Caan. Where's his pickup?
He's gonna live though, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So good.
So James Caan had just threatened to shoot him if he didn't help work on his guy, because the doctor's just like, "Nah, he's dead. I don't want to bother."
That was a court-martial offense. You understand that, huh? Yes. Hope the hell it was worth it.
Hope the hell was worth it.
Guess only time will tell on that, sir. My response is strictly limited, regardless of my personal preference. You understand that too? I do. Like somebody cheating in school. Once word gets out, you can behave any way you goddamn.
This guy's show Shakespearean.
Discipline's gone. Forget about getting it back. So you're gonna have to be arrested over and out. Lieutenant Rafferty.
Over and out.
Yes, sir. Hello. Lieutenant Rafferty, this is Sergeant. What's your name? Doan. Eddie Doan. Sergeant Doan pulled a gun on me and threatened to kill me unless I did precisely what he ordered. I want you to put him under arrest. Yes, sir. I want you to keep him there. I want you to keep him there for at least 10 seconds. I'm not all that sure I understand, Colonel. Count to 10, Lieutenant. Fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like that, sir?
They sped that up.
This is yours, I think.
Yeah, it looks like mine.
Yes, sir. It looks like mine. Scared the shit out of me, you stupid bastard. You did a fine job yourself, sir, if it makes you feel any better. Goddamn right it does.
Goddamn right it does.
Sir. You wouldn't really have killed me, would you? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You couldn't even see it. Your thing's lagging so hard, Murphy. You got to fix your tech issues for next episode. These
I'll do
videos
my
have been
best.
very laggy.
At least the sound's coming through. So the audio podcast is
Gonna
be
be a
okay.
hit, baby.
Yeah, but yeah, he just salutes him there at the end. But yeah, Laurence Olivier was fantastic in that scene. My first exposure to him too, I think. But you hear his name everywhere as like the greatest Shakespearean actor ever, maybe. So there he is, Laurence Olivier, and almost played Nicholson in Kwai. How about that?
Didn't know that actually.
Well, I
Murphy
think
just
that
told us that earlier.
I think that's a good lineup for some movie morsels. You guys hungry for a bit of movie morsels on this
Absolutely starving.
classic film? So 1977, A Bridge Too Far. In order to keep costs down, all the star name actors agreed to participate on a favored nation basis, i.e., they would all receive the same weekly fee, which in this case was $250,000 per week, or at the time of 2012, equivalent of $1,008,250 or 642,000 pounds. I forgot to check the, interest rate on that at this time and age, but we'll just add another $500,000 to that. Too much money for such little acting. Shooting of the American-led assault on the bridge at Nijmegen, thank you, was dubbed the $1 Million Hour because of heavy traffic. The crew had permission to film on the bridge only between 8 and 9 o'clock on October 3rd, 1976. Failure to complete the scene would have necessitated. Oh, Jesus. Failure to complete the scene would have necessitated rescheduling at a cost, including Redford's overtime, of at least $1 million. For this reason, Attenborough insisted that all actors playing corpses keep their eyes closed. After United Artists agreed to pay $6 million for US and Canada distribution rights, the film was a box office disappointment in North America, but performed well in Europe. Sir Dirk Bogart's portrayal of General Browning was highly controversial, and several friends of the late general suggested that had Browning still been alive in 1977, he would have sued director Sir Richard Attenborough and screenwriter William Goldman for libel. Bogart took issue with the portrayal during filming, having known Browning personally, as he was a member of Field Marshal Bernard L. Montgomery's staff during the war. Although Attenborough took responsibility.
Old Monty, yes.
Oh, Monty. Although Attenborough publicly took responsibility for the controversy, his relationship with Bogart was never the same again. Browning's son said he believed his father was made the fall guy for the failure of Operation Market Garden in the film because the producers knew there would have been too much flack if they went after Montgomery.
Yeah, I think they sort of did go after Montgomery in the end, really. They do sort of delve into how his plan wasn't exactly as brilliant and remarkable as it should have been. Old Monty, to be fair, he did a great job in the war, right? He went through Sicily, North Africa, and he did a great job through Arnhem. But you can't win them all, right? And I think they kind of made that clear towards the end of the film, where they were like, well, he did his best, old Monty, didn't he?
Monty.
Daphne du Maurier, the widow of Lieutenant General Browning, complained that her husband had been made the fall guy for the failure of Operation Market Garden by this movie. Browning and unforeseen Field Marshal Bernard L. Montgomery, who are shown as responsible for the failure, had died by the time the movie had opened in 1977, unlike other commanders involved. Attenborough defended his depiction of Browning by pointing to the final scene where he says, "As you know, I've always thought we were going a bridge too far." Browning did actually say something very... Yeah, that's the name of the movie. Browning did actually say something very similar to this, hence the title of Cornelius Ryan's original book and this movie. But he said it's a well before the operation started. The scene where Private Marsh is killed trying to retrieve a supply canister, which is also one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, and
it's they're like, go, 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 go. And it was just hats.
That was actually full of Maroon Berets, was based on a real event, but the actual paratrooper Corporal Johnny Johnson survived unharmed, but in Cornelius Ryan's original book was described as rather irate and frustrated at his risking his life for what turned out to be such a futile errand. Carlyle, the British officer with the umbrella who died during the battle, was based on Major Digby Tappan Warder, who survived the battle. Richard Attenborough, one of the lunatics wearing glasses watching the soldiers. This was his only acting role in one of the films he directed. I didn't even realize he was one of the lunatics in the woods. Didn't even pitch that together until I read this, and I was like, oh, I should go get a shot of that. Didn't think about it till now. Sir Michael Caine's scripted line to order the column of tanks and armored cars into battle was, "Forward, go, charge!" Luckily for Caine, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Vanderloo was on set, so he asked him what the actual line was. Vanderloo told him, "I just said quietly into the microphone, we'll get a move on then," which is what Caine says in the movie.
Well, get a move on then.
So Sir Lawrence Olivier showed up on set wearing an old suit and a pair of battered black shoes. He informed Sir Richard Attenborough that he had been gardening the shoes for a month so that they would look just right for the character, a Dutch farmer and a doctor who's risked his life to tend the wounded. According to the DVD edition, the real-life Colonel John Frost chided Sir Anthony Hopkins during the filming for running from house to house during the battle for Arnhem. According to Hopkins, Frost told him that British officer would never have to run; he'd have to just stay in front and be fired by walking from place to place. Originally, Sir Richard Attenborough did not want to direct this movie. He was keen to make Gandhi from 1982, after Young Winston from 1972. However, major studios were reluctant to finance the movie, so he sought Joseph E. Levin for financing. This movie was part of the agreement in exchange for financing Gandhi. Director Richard Attenborough knew he only had one chance to shoot the large paratrooper sequence. To ensure he got the coverage he needed, there were 19 cameras rolling during the drop.
Oh, wow. No wonder they had so many angles.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They used them all.
According to the DVD production notes, James Caan agreed to do this movie because of the scene in which he forces a reluctant army surgeon to operate on one of his buddies at gunpoint. He said when Richard Attenborough came to see me in Los Angeles, he offered me the choice of several roles. I chose the sergeant chiefly for that one scene. Several principal participants of Operation Market Garden was employed as military consultants during production, namely Brian Horrocks, Edward Fox, James M. Gavin, Ryan O'Neill, Joe Vanderlau, Sir Michael Caine, John Frost, Sir Anthony Hopkins, and Roy Urquhart, Sir Sean Connery's character. Steve McQueen and Audrey Hepburn were originally cast, to play Major Julian Cook and Kate Terhorst, respectively. McQueen only wanted to appear in starring roles, not all-star ensemble projects, and Hepburn's asking salary price was too high. Also, it was reported that Hepburn, who had lived in German-occupied Netherlands during the war and had seen German soldiers shoot down civilians on the street and had friends killed in bombing raids, would find the prospect of reliving her wartime experiences too traumatic. Understandably so.
I mean, Steve McQueen was in The Great Escape, which, like, at the time, sure, it was kind of a starring role, but it was also very much like this, where it was filled with the biggest actors of the time. So he's got a shit excuse, if we're being honest here.
That's fair. That's a fair point. According to stunt coordinator Vic Armstrong, they used over 100 stuntmen in this movie. One stuntman, Alf Joint, was badly injured while filming a stunt, falling off a rooftop. He missed the air mattress. So that's just a rough landing. The producers were only able to locate 4 of the many Sherman tanks seen on the screen. The rest were plastic molds set on top of 88 Land Rovers. Volkswagen Beetle chassis were used for German Kübelwagens. The tank treads didn't reach the ground, but the movie is edited so that it isn't noticeable, except in the section after Elliot Gould cries, "Roll the fuckers!" There are shots of the tanks rolling over the bridge. One tank is seen silhouetted against the background, and its tracks are clearly not moving as fast as they should be if the tank were real. At about 57 minutes in the movie, as the Shermans are heading up the road, the last Sherman seen, the 5th one, is floating a few inches off the ground. If you look quickly, you'll just see the rear left wheel from one of the Land Rovers. Over 2.7 million feet of film was shot at the normal speed of 90 feet per minute. That's 1.5 per second for 35 millimeter film. This equals 500 plus hours shot over a period of 133 days. Sir Richard Attenborough overall involvement with the project extended to 24 months, all told, working an average of 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. When he finally finished the movie, Attenborough went to bed and slept solidly for 3 days. The film includes an event in which a British staff officer bought a complete corpse level operations order with maps and graphics, which was never supposed to leave Britain, with him on the transport glider, and then inadvertently left it on the glider when it landed in Holland. The Germans eventually overran the glider landing zone and found the operations order. but the Germans were convinced that this was a set of fake documents planted for deception by the British, and actually maneuvered contrary to what the documents indicated for the first few days of the battle. This was a result of Operation Mincemeat, prior to the Allied invasion of Sicily 14 months earlier, in which British military intelligence prepared a corpse wearing a Royal Marine Staff officer uniform and life jacket, and with a courier briefcase handcuffed to its wrists, which contained documents indicating that the target of the impending Allied invasion was Sardinia and not Sicily. The corpse was dropped by the submarine off of a beach in Spain, where the British knew that the pro-German France regime would likely find the corpse and documents, and pass the information into the documents to the Germans. The plan succeeded in diverting several German divisions from Sicily to Sardinia, and was the subject of the film The Man Who Never Was in 1956. Joseph E. Levin financed the $22 million budget himself during the production. He would show footage from the movie to distributors, who would then pay him for distribution rights. By the time the movie was finished, Levin had raised $26 million, putting the movie $4 million in black before it even released, which is very impressive.
That's crazy.
A lot of the tanks, trucks, and jeeps were picked up from the picked up from the Greek and Turkish armies who were upgrading their stock at the time. So they made a movie, and they also supplied Greek and Turkish armies with some gear. Go figure. The film takes place from September 9th to September 26th in 1944. The cinematography was from Jeffrey Unsworth, edited by Anthony Gibbs, music by John Addison, release date of June 15th, 1977 at 176 minutes with a budget of $25 million and a box office of $57.7 million. So they just doubled what they spent on making this film, but just barely.
Well, and amongst all these wasted performances, was there a performance you guys would hold up? For me, it was Laurence Olivier in that.
I would say James Caan.
Anthony Hopkins, man. James Caan and Anthony Hopkins for sure.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins was pretty good, yeah. And the setting aesthetic, it was a bit drab for me. I know that's like war, but war can still look better than this did. I mean, there was some good stuff, like you guys say, the stunts and that stuff was great, but it was boring to look at, along with a lot of the boring dialogue, which I felt this movie had. The thing with Bridge on the River Kwai is the dialogue was very heavy and witty, and that wasn't the case with this one. I found it was just sounded like military guys saying military stuff, and it was all pretty boring.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, it's like a Tom Clancy novel before Tom Clancy was a thing, right? As for the setting, though, I mean, it's the Netherlands in World War II, right? It's bang on, really. Like the fact that when they move through the towns, it doesn't look cookie cutter. You know, there is real debris all over the place. It's not just
there's a tank driving through a building and it just like crumples over.
Yeah,
the tank
the wall. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I will give it to him for the setting. It's like you said, Davan.
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
War isn't always pretty, right?
Yeah, it's fair enough. I retract my statements on the aesthetic.
I would agree. Like it's all very muddy. All the scenes sort of blend in together in a just like a distinct visual way.
Well, if we're talking about muddy, let's wait until the next film. But yes,
there's mud. There's mud.
There's tons of mud. But yeah, no, it was. I found myself times where I would just kind of like drift away from watching it, and like I was kind of like half working and half watching the film.
Me too.
So it had a bit of trouble keeping my attention, but I was also, the moments when I was watching, I was just bewildered by the scale of practical effects that were just happening on screen for lengths of time. Like extensive lengths of time. I'm just like, every shot of this is just millions of dollars. Like the people, the vehicles, the explosions, the set pieces falling down, the whole towns. It was just bewildering. It was bewildering. I couldn't get over it, and I was like, I can't think of any modern era war movie that's taken the practical effects to this sort of length and degree. and it's
1917 looks pretty good.
Yeah. It looks
Let's,
good, but it was contained. 1917. It was very contained, as opposed to where it was like with Bridge on the Kwai, it was almost like a theatrical POW piece with a few set pieces. With A Bridge Too Far, it is just epic grandeur. How much can we fit into this frame? How much can we just put on screen and make it cohesive? And then with our next film, 1917, it's like following the one soldier and what it's like being in the trenches, literally. And I think that was kind of the beauty of the three films that we picked for this.
Yeah, they're all very different.
Episode.
It's funny though. All those things you say about A Bridge Too Far should have made it less boring.
Yeah,
you made it sound
I
less
think,
boring than it was. It was.
I know,
boring.
and from a technical aspect, it's fantastic. From an acting and entertainment aspect, it's dry wool,
Very dry
and
wool.
I don't know if it can't be the list of because the few actors that actually got scenes chewed their scenes up and ate it well. Gene Hackman was the biggest sore thumb in the entire cast for me. They could have given that role to anybody and it would have played better. I don't know why Gene Hackman got role of British General Sergeant who's just angry because he can't get into the fight.
He's definitely Polish.
Yeah, sorry. He was Polish. But I don't know why Gene Hackman got that role. I really don't. I don't think he needed it.
He doesn't have the range for that.
Yeah.
He was hacking it, legitimately.
Rewatchability. For me,
I'm
not gonna watch this movie again.
I would. I could see myself rewatching this again, just for to examine the practical effects and the stunts, and I'll skip between all the small talk scenes. I'll fast forward through that.
That's the thing, though, is are we talking rewatchability as a full film, or are we only counting the ability to watch scenes from it? Because if we're talking just full film, I'm going to say 4 out of 10. But if we're talking the likelihood of me rewatching scenes from it, then 10 out of 10. There's a big difference there.
Yeah, no, you're right. You know what? That's a great point. That's a great point, Mike. I would say in that aspect, yeah. There are scenes I would like to rewatch, but as a whole movie from front to back, I don't think I'd watch it.
Not worth it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Does it hold up? For me, no. No, there's been better war movies before and since. This is one of my least favorite war movies I've ever seen, actually. Yeah, not there for me. Murphy.
It was based on the book by Cornelius Ryan, who also wrote The Longest Day, which I don't know if you guys have seen The Longest Day, but that's a war film that holds up far better than this one that was also made before.
Fun fact, eventually changed his name to Tom Clancy. Hold up. Does it hold up for you
guys? Practical effects wise, yes. Acting, no.
It's a whole movie is the question here.
Then no. Because you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Murphy?
No, it really doesn't. It's a bit of a drag to get through. There's a lot of spectacle, a lot of bewildering amazement, an all-star cast without a doubt. But it's better just to watch the really.
What a waste of them!
It's just such a bewildering.
I'm so excited because of the cast.
Movie.
I was like, what?
It's like, oh man, this is a fire roll cast. How are they going to fit them all in? And it's almost like a Marvel Avengers film, where they try and get all the big name actors in, but they get little pieces, and you get these 4 almost you considered main storylines. But yeah, again, as a whole movie, I don't think it entirely holds up. There's cool things. It should be examined at least once. But yeah, there are better.
We have a new addition to the C movies list with The Majestic, Southland Tales, I Heart Huckabees, The Apartment, Animal House.
Animal House, fuck you guys.
Shit House.
Continue.
It didn't hold up.
Oh.
We checked.
That's right.
And a bridge too far.
What are your
We've got
thoughts
an
on
A and a
Animal
C
House?
tonight.
Like real quick.
I think Animal House is fantastic. You just have
When's
to
the last time
expect
you
it.
watched it?
Okay, fair point. Fair point. Maybe my
The problem
memory.
is it's supposed to be a
better than
comedy,
it still is.
and it's not funny. It's
very
definitely
dated.
not funny. Yeah. It was no house party, that episode, I'll tell you.
Fair. All right, deserves a rewatch.
Yeah, I can go back for it. Or you can just watch our episode of this podcast, even better.
Truth.
Yeah, definitely rewatch
All right.
that old episode. It's a good one.
Theater 3.